GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
GUVI, a vernacular edutech brand, skilling everyone everywhere.
Hello, Siddhu.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I was going to ask hello, Siddhu, or should I call you Impact Player? As we're recording this on a Sunday, the first Sunday after DJ Tillu, the sequel, Tillu Square, is released.
Correct.
And as of now, the tracking in the US is that it was released in 450 screens.
Yeah.
It's expected to end up with $2.5 million
Right.
over 3 days
Right.
and end up in the number 6 spot in all of North America / Canada.
Right.
That is competing with all the English films
Right.
and all the other things and
All
all
of
that.
cinema, basically.
Yeah, all of cinema there. Number
Right.
6 spot.
Right.
That's like slightly insane. How are you feeling right now?
I am feeling insane about it. I mean, I always knew that it was a good film. That's what I kept saying in all the interviews as well. That I always knew that it was a good film. I just had to wait and see if it was a good sequel. And that difference there might be just a word, but it's pretty big. From it being a good film to a good sequel. But luckily today, I think we have somehow managed to achieve a very rare feat where the sequel has surpassed the original, and that's the top line in every review that I read. Like, it's a very rare scenario that this has happened.
Right.
And then the numbers, the shattering figures that I'm listening to are giving me anxiety as we speak because, okay, so to understand where I come from, I'm still reeling from disbelief, that, are you kidding me? Is that really what happened? Like 1.3 million on day one? Okay. Is someone kidding with us, or are they really saying that? And today to be very honest, today after seeing those numbers is when I believe that, okay, there was craze in the market for DJ Tillu. Because everyone kept saying that, you don't know the kind of craze there is, you don't know that people are going to just come run into the theaters if you can manage to deliver a good film. I believe that today. I didn't until then, until I made the film. So yeah, the numbers are pretty crazy.
What's the difference between a good film and a good sequel?
A good film is a film that satisfies the requirement of the target demographic and the market that you're sending it into. Which is for us is the Telugu market. And,
Yeah, but like, is it even more specific? Is it like youngsters? What is it?
Our target demographic has always been the youth, yes.
Yeah.
But having said that, when part one had released, initially it was the youth that watched the film and they enjoyed the film. But then when the film made its OTT debut, a lot of families, women and kids started loving the film, and which was very surprising to me because somewhere in the film we have a man who's semi-naked tied to a bed and a girl is slapping the shit out of him, which is borderline BDSM or whatever.
Right.
But they didn't mind. And then I started understanding that, okay, it's not about any of those things. It's about this one guy with his weird hair and his antiques and his weird body language who comes across as a cartoon character to kids.
Yeah.
And kids just love that. So then I started understanding that, okay, this film is going to have a lot of takers even when it comes to an entire family watching the film. Yeah.
So that's a good film for you. That's like a
No,
good
so-
film is
so,
one that serves the demographic.
It's one that serves the demographic and which majorly tries to satisfy what is expected out of that film.
Okay.
Like if you come to watch a film like DJ Tillu for that matter, you expect to laugh a lot. And then you expect a bit of a basic story, and then you expect to see this guy heartbroken a little.
Right.
Or then you basically expect to see this guy in a lot of stress. And then how he cracks in those situations and how people enjoy his tragedy because it's comedy to them.
Right.
So that's the requirement of DJ Tillu as a film, as a part one. When the part one came out. But then what happens is there is expectation when part two comes.
Yeah.
Everyone is just ready to rip it apart. Everyone is just ready to watch the film like a scientist would, and then they all want to decode it, and they all want to dissect it and find, oh, this was bad, that was bad. So that is the difference between a good film and a good sequel, where a good sequel is already under scrutiny.
Right.
Right.
And the strangest thing is the sequel has gotten better reviews than the original did.
Yeah.
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 It's almost like the first one was like, I read some of the reviews and they were like, it's not bad. Siddhu's done a good job, but there's no story. But there's laughs. I mean, it was kind of a little all over the place. But this one is pretty much unanimously gotten real love.
Yeah.
Like everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, since you brought up BDSM, let's just get this over with because I just why are the heroines of these films being targeted so much by the media?
Because they want viral content.
That's it.
That's about it.
I mean, like, I heard that Anupama Parishan couldn't make it to an event because she was upset about...
Yeah, she was upset about the fact that there were some lewd comments on a couple of pictures, and but obviously it's not really the case. Whatever they said was there in the picture wasn't there, and but then
We're in 2024. Why is it still so shocking for a young woman and a young man to do some stuff that is, you know, like whatever?
It isn't.
Yeah.
It isn't actually, because you trust me when I tell you this. There's a couple of public talk videos that I've seen on the YouTube, and there's women coming out of the theaters, and they are saying, and the media, even there, the media is asking them, bold scenes unnayanta, ani, and they are like, అంటే అది ఓకే అండి, లైక్ ఇట్స్ ఓకే, అదేమంత డిస్టర్బింగ్ అంత ఏం లేదండి, ఇట్స్ ఓకే అని. ఓన్లీ వెన్ యూఆర్ యాక్చువల్లీ ఆస్కింగ్ అబౌట్ ఇట్ is when they're talking about it.
Right.
But certain section of the media, I wouldn't obviously generalize it, but certain section of the media has just not moved on. They just still only know one way to sensationalize something, and they're sticking to it.
And in a strange way, do you think this is adding to the film's must-watchness?
Is it giving the film some kind of publicity? Yes. But is it the kind of publicity that I want?
Yeah,
No.
okay.
But can I do anything about it? No.
No. What is it that's working about DJ Tillu and Tillu Square? Because very eccentric character, very out there. These are not normal people, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're taking everything and like there's a line in This Is Spinal Tap, which is one of my favorite films, which is like crank it up all the way to 11. Because normally it's 10, right?
Right,
it's like, so crank it up all the way to 11.
So we've done cranked it up to 20.
20,
here,
yeah.
you know.
So that's so what is it that's you feel, because you're a writer, you're the writer, and it's your sensibility there. What do you feel has clicked?
See, I think beyond the histrionics of the character and how animated he is, and if you put all of these things aside, there's a philosophy behind DJ Tillu as a character.
Right.
You know, if you notice him, he's never doing comedy.
Right.
He's never really trying to crack a joke, or never really. It's his intense, eccentric mind, intense, insecure, vulnerable state of mind that's speaking.
Right.
And a major philosophy behind DJ Tillu's character is he wears his weakness like an armor, you know. He says it out.
Yeah.
He says it out that, you know, this level of cheating, the amount I got cheated, no? I don't think in history anyone got cheated that much. You saw? Should be a record. I think
He's
I should
saying
be
it just like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got used to playing the character so much. So I think he's a character who doesn't shy away from accepting anything and everything that's around him. Again, coming from a middle class family, he's financially trapped, but there's exposure to the world. So he wants to wear a fake brand. You know, he wants to put up those stickers on his t-shirts, and he wants to show the world that he's wearing a 5,000 rupees t-shirt.
Yeah.
And, you know, so he's someone who will fake it until he makes it,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So there's a lot of this to him where he's not pretending, you know, even when he's crying, you feel like laughing at him, with him. So I think a lot of that philosophy, how vulnerable he is, how insecure he is as a person, hence he dresses up the way he dresses up, wearing loud clothes, just to mask the insecurity. I think all these things have somewhere connected with people's hearts. And I think when they see him, they just feel that he's someone from, you know, my neighbor's house, or, you know, someone who lives around us.
One of the things I really like about comedy is when there's an idiotic character, but that character is endearingly idiotic.
Right.
You know, not just silly, which is okay, which is the low hanging fruit, right?
Right.
But then there is you fall for that character.
Correct.
And in a like you want to almost protect them,
Right.
because you're you know, like, I know you're a silly fool, but you know, want to kind of.
But what can we do?
What can we do? Yeah, you know, that's kind of.
Yeah, it does happen. Like there's a particular sequence in part 1 where the father says, you know, you get out of my house. And then he says, where do you want me to go? Which is such a true question, right? Where do you want me to go? Do you have another house? You know, you gave birth to me, so you take care of me. Or you throw me on the road. Do not hang in between. It's a very delicate situation.
Right.
So you either throw me out of the house or you keep me here. Which is so true. Which is what a middle class father would have said to his son so many times. Get out of the house if you're not going to listen to me.
Right.
Right? And every son, every single time, has wanted to answer to that. And Tillu just says, where do you want me to go? Which is the reality of the situation, that he has nowhere to go. Right? So when he says something like that, you just see a completely different side of the argument.
Yeah.
Right? And then when it actually makes sense to you, that is when you fall in love with that guy.
Right. So, based on the mega success of Tillu Square and the success of Tillu, and I always wonder how Krishna and his Leela would have fared had it not landed up directly on OTT. Something about it tells me that it probably might have done well.
Yeah, I wonder about that all the time, and I think I would agree with you. I think it would have fared really, really well in the theaters.
Yeah.
Because there have been a couple of really big producers who said that, that should have been your big break, and it would have been if it came out in the theaters.
Right.
So yeah, it's a question that will never be answered.
They'll never be answered, yeah. But your gut feel says that it would have worked.
Absolutely.
Right. So, based on this, what is the audience that you're catering to? Because in Telugu, this is the only probably industry in India where you have stars in every generation line. Like the top you have
Correct.
Chiranjeevi, Balakrishna,
Yeah.
like then you have Nagarjuna, Venkatesh, that generation. Then you keep going on and on and on until we
Correct.
reach you and
Correct.
your contemporaries.
Yeah.
So there's what is it that you and your contemporaries? What is which part of the Telugu audience do you guys?
See, firstly, to understand this place, what I have realized of late is that it isn't enough if you make a good film here. You need to make a hit film, and there's a lot of difference.
We're speaking about good films again.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of difference between a good film and a hit film. A good film is a good film which starts right, which travels right, and it doesn't care about managing the theater's energy and euphoria. It just very, very organically just follows its story and how the characters should behave and all of that. But here, to make a hit film, you need an episode in the first half where people lost their shit. It can be a crazy action sequence, or it can be a hilarious sequence where everyone is laughing for like 10 minutes and then they're like, oh, okay, now we're satisfied. Because people go back for that episode, right? And then you need a great twist at the interval, and then you need a great takeoff in the second half, and when the third act starts, you need something that is so bizarre, but then okay, now the hero should have a task.
Yeah.
So you have the requirement of 10 genres in one film when you make a film in Telugu. So it cannot be just a good film. It has to be a hit film. There has to be a song. There has to be a spectacular picturesque location. There has to be dance. There has to be madness. There needs to be a melody. There needs to be a mass song. There needs to be a dance number. There needs to be a motivational number somewhere. So there is a lot of requirement, and which completely transcends just making a good film. It's about making a hit film. It's about commercializing the whole thing and making sure that there is something in this film for every member of the family.
Right.
That's a monstrous process.
Right. So the catering that you do to, have you said that, okay, actually there are people who say that DJ Tillu is kind of a mass film as well.
Yes.
But are you saying that I'm going to go do things that these big mass action stars are not going to do? Let me find my own niche and let me cater to that niche, probably the youngsters. And then if the others come in, they come in, but let me tackle that niche. Is that what your logic is?
Not really, because I never looked at it like that. Probably in my head, because I already understand that people come to the theaters to get entertained, and probably I myself have a couple of choices like, okay, I like this film, I like that film. So what did I like about this film? Now, let's just not say that it entertained me, because you're also a writer. Can we also get into the depth of it and understand what is it about the film that you like?
Can you just give me a couple of examples?
So it kept me hooked, it made me laugh, it thrilled me, it made me groove in
Which
the
one?
theater. Any film.
film,
Okay,
right.
for example, you're asking me for example. So like recently, like for example, pick Ala Vaikuntapuramlo,
Right.
from the same banner.
Right,
Not
right.
just saying that because it's from the same banner. I absolutely loved the
Yep,
film.
yep.
I spoke to Baniana
I mean, the energy level was through the roof.
through the roof.
Yeah.
So now you watch the film, you see a massive song happening in the first 20 minutes about how he has a conflict with his father, and then there are scenes between him and his sister and his family and everything else, and then you're already sympathetic towards the character because he was supposed to be born in a rich house, but he's here.
Yeah.
And then there is dance, and in the second half there's a conference room scene. So it is packed so well with everything for everyone. Now that's the requirement of a commercial film. Now every director, every writer has their own style. And in my style, in the way I look at cinema, the way I look at situations or scenes, I have come up with DJ Tillu.
Right.
Yeah.
No, do you see yourself doing, for example,
Absolutely.
an Ala Vaikuntapuramlo type of
Absolutely.
movie? Okay. So
Absolutely.
you're not averse to that?
No, not at all.
Right, right.
Absolutely. In fact, we all want to get there.
Right.
You know, this is the launch vehicle
This
to
is
get to
like the first step or second
the
step.
first or the second step to get to that scenario.
Okay,
you know?
all right. So becoming the big mass star is what everybody wants to do.
I think I've already set myself out on that path with DJ Tillu.
With DJ Tillu,
Yeah, because this was always in my head when I started writing this film, because I do like to consider myself a good writer. In my head, it always felt like it was a contemporary film. It was a niche film when I started out. And then the title that we initially had for the film also is Narudi Bratuku Natana. It means that your entire life is just an act.
Yeah.
That was the title. So you see where I was heading when I was making that film. But then when people would ask me, what's the film you're making? I say Narudi Bratuku. Halfway through they leave. They're like, oh, acha, okay, some kind of a film he's making.
Yeah.
And then when I tell people that my character's name is DJ Tillu in the film, they're like, oh, that's got a nice ring to it. And then I'm like, why don't we just bloody call the film DJ Tillu? Right? So I think in my head it started out very differently, but then as the film progressed, as I made the film and as we packaged the whole thing, it turned out to become like a true blue commercial film.
Yeah.
So, and then part 2 is bigger than part 1, and there is more mass elements, and there is more family drama in there this time. There's a bigger problem, bigger twist. So I think we all eventually have to make the same film as a structure, but it's not the what, it's the how.
Oh, yeah. And you have a part 3 in the works, I'm assuming.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, you know, see, the idea behind DJ Tillu basically is that he's a crazy guy. You put him in a high stress environment and he will crack. So this time we pitted him against a girl who's an agent or whatever. Next time I'm thinking I'm going to make him fly in the air. I'm going to make him a superhero. And, you know, I'm going to see how he behaves if he becomes a superhero, how he responds to the changes in
That's
him.
great. You're taking this one character and probably reimagining him through the movies.
Yeah.
You know, you said...
You know, even for, sorry to cut you off, but even for that matter, how will DJ Tillu become a superhero? Probably he'll get superpowers by sleeping with the wrong chick, you know? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It has to be that wacky when you make that film.
Right. No, that's exactly, I mean, you kind of went where I was going, which is you said that you think you're a good writer. I think you're something more important. I think you have a unique voice. And I think that is more important than being a good writer.
Correct.
Because... You know, good is a subjective thing, right? It's like whatever it is. But I think having a unique voice, it's very possible that your voice may not appeal to everybody.
Correct.
But there's something unique about it. And I think that's what people today are looking for, because they're sick and tired of watching the same shit like over and over and over. And they want something original.
Correct.
Something very new. And I think that's what these films have.
Absolutely. You know, like you just said, in fact, I was just having this conversation the other day with one of the writers for the film, Kalyan Shankar, who did Mad recently.
Right.
It's out on Netflix, got on a great review. So my director, Malik, and all of us, we were just talking about it, that how all the filmmakers that are there in the industry, the only filmmakers that are remembered, no, it doesn't matter if they've delivered flops or hits, you know. His last film might as well be a flop, but the only reason you remember a filmmaker is because of his unique voice. You know, because of his signature. You know, he has a signature. He'll make a good film. There'll be something in the film. So I think I completely agree with you there. It's the uniqueness that I come with, or the culture that I have seen and that I'm trying to impart into the film that I'm making. Is what's working.
You know, it's very strange when a sequel, you make DJ Tillu, 2022, 2024, DJ Tillu Square's up there. There's nothing in between. Usually people kind of want to take a small break, do something else, and then come to this. But here, this is the first film you make after DJ Tillu is the sequel.
It is, yeah. So I must have been a really stupid guy to do that, to be very honest, because it is so stupid to not cash in on the success of DJ Tillu and then just do 2 or more other films and just make a lot of money and then eventually find. But I think it's a hunger that doesn't die inside me. I am so harsh on myself. I am someone who's constantly beating myself down for not doing something bigger or something crazier. And at the same time, I was kind of talked into doing this, you know. My producers sat me down, they explained the economics and they explained how Tillu is now a household name and they're looking for more and this, that. And I'm someone who does get carried away at times. And then I said, okay, fuck it, let's just do it. I just said that.
And now you have something called Jack. And then there's something else after that.
Telesukada.
But then you probably are going to do
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't
Right,
know.
but
So I'm not going to make the mistake I made the last time
Right.
because it really messed with my head for the last 2 years because initially there was a lot of negativity about DJ Tillu sequel when we started because the director had changed and then the girl had changed and all of that. I mean, the girl had changed because obviously that girl can't come in and be a raw agent out of the blue.
Yeah.
And no one really understood that. You know, everyone just kept saying that the girl changed, the girl changed.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of negative sequels, won't work, this trailer is okay, looks like it'll be a flop, you should have just left it at part 1 and all of that. So all of these things just made me angrier and crazier in my head. And I think every single day I started typing harder on the laptop, you know, when I was writing the film.
Right.
So it's a very, very taxing process, to be very honest. Sequels are a stress, sequels are a pressure.
Now, with DJ Tillu, you said something that was very interesting about your writing. Since you just mentioned typing hard on a laptop, you said you didn't follow a conventional approach of writing.
Yeah.
There was something improvisational about it because, as in when you kept meeting people, you kept absorbing their energies and
Right.
their ways of doing things or whatever
Right,
was unique
right.
about them, and then put them in
Right,
in the thing.
right.
Did you do the same thing for the sequel as well?
So it's not something that I do consciously. It's something that happens to me.
Okay.
Like today I met you. I'm constantly noticing things about you, like how you've taken off your footwear and how your one leg is on the couch. I'm constantly noticing
Right,
that. Probably
right.
tomorrow if I make a film and there is a scene in which there is a guy who's interviewing someone, he'll sit like you. With his hands folded like this, with his glasses and the French beard and stuff, right?
Right.
So I am absorbing energy and it's like a machine that's running inside where I'm taking it in and I have to send it out. Otherwise, I'll lose my shit if I don't put it somewhere else.
Right.
So it's something that happens to me where I absorb things, I absorb them and then I put them out somewhere else.
Right.
And majorly, I have an understanding about the world where I feel that the world is a certain way. I feel that people are a certain way today. And I think that's what I try to reflect in the writing that I do. For that matter, in DJ Tillu, if you see DJ Tillu, everyone else apart from DJ Tillu is somewhere selfish in their own way, you know? And he is actually the one who's probably feeding his friends biryani and bringing them alcohol and playing DJ because he wants to. But then he's doing that to support the family. And then there is a girl who's gotten him into some kind of a soup and he's doing things for her. He's complaining about it thoroughly as we do. And that's the entertaining part, you know, where he says, you know, you can go relax. I will bury the corpse and I will come. I do this every day. I'm used to it.
Yeah.
You know, so the sarcasm and everything is where he expresses what he's feeling about doing these things. But I think he's I think you want to protect him like you said earlier. You know, he's that kind of a character.
You had a long period of struggle,
Yeah.
which is not new, but lots of people have long periods of struggles.
Absolutely.
But I want to know how you handled that period, because I think there's a lesson in how everyone approaches their period of struggle. And one of the things I'm constantly asked by either aspiring actors or aspiring directors. I mean, sometimes they say, you know, I started the same time as X person, but now X person has gone ahead.
Correct.
So much and I'm still here.
Correct.
And I'm like, it's not jealousy, it's so much as, why am I not there?
I'm sure someone else is saying that about me.
So how?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I stopped saying those things.
Right.
Because I know.
But you said those things at one point.
No, I did feel it at some point. I never said it
Yeah,
because I've always been a person who's believed that if you have to scream about something or if you have to scream and force people to believe something, you'd rather not.
Right.
You know, I've never wanted to prove a point.
Right.
I've always wanted to make my point, and I would wait and see if the point will prove itself.
Right.
You know, just like make a film and everything else will go away and just
Right.
the film will stay
Right.
if it works. So all the struggle that I have gone through. Okay, so there's a saying in Urdu, you know, says that जो तुझसे पहले यहाँ पे तख्त नशी था उसे भी अपने खुदा होने का उतना ही यकी था.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So whoever was the king before you also believed equally and with the same amount of
wanted the throne.
grit that
Yeah,
he deserved the throne.
Yeah.
Right? So if I am thinking that this so and so actor started out with me and now he's there and I'm here.
Right.
Now today that I'm here, I'm sure there's someone else who's thinking that, you know, we started out together and he's gone there, right?
Right.
So it's a very funny place. It's a very funny business and stardom sometimes is very taxing. So I generally try to not take that way too seriously. But having said that, the struggle period, you develop a thick skin after a point. Like people come and ask you, Bahubali bhi bana diye, tum kab banate picture? कहीं को इतना लेट हो रहा है? And after a point, my answer was like, अच्छा लगता है मुझको लेट करना. So you develop a thick skin, you know what I'm saying?
But you never lost belief.
Never.
Never.
So there's also a practical understanding there that I've swam halfway through the ocean. It's the same distance. I can either go forward, I can come back. It's the same distance, so I might as well go forward.
Right.
Of course, there've been times, Baddy, where I've felt really low and like I've probably gotten drunk and broken glasses and I've done all of those things, obviously. But pain builds character, right? So I say this to my very close friends all the time that to make people laugh so much, I have cried a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like when comedy happens, you know, the person who's actually doing it has gone through a lot of shit. So there has been an equal amount of struggle, but you develop a thick skin.
Right. So, you know, and it's completely identifiable because this is one of those professions where there's no guarantee.
There isn't. No.
So
yeah, this is an organized crime.
Work your ass off. You can do everything. You can, sweat and blood and everything.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee.
So, like, as opposed to like, you know, you can be a CA or whatever it is, and you work hard and you'll actually
get there.
Yeah. You know, so here.
That's because of how unorganized this place is.
Right.
You know, there is no. And again, we're all sitting here and trying to actually create magic.
Right.
And you cannot have a plan to create magic.
That's actually one of the best ways I've heard cinema being put.
That's what all the good films are about. I think with all the planning and all the writing and all the to-do lists that we have and all the packaging that we do, I think we are all just honestly hoping to stumble upon one moment of honesty on screen.
Right.
You know, which doesn't happen because of what you wrote. It is just starting in a direction.
Right.
And I think magic happens somewhere between that action and cut.
Right.
You know, what you didn't see or what you didn't write, something just comes and then you put a background score on it and then you see your film so fresh that, you know, you never expected.
Yeah. At what point did you realize that you could write?
When I was getting shitty stuff.
You were not like one of those who wrote in school, college?
No.
Okay.
So this is no college, basic knowledge kind of a scenario, okay? So I've never learned anything professionally, acting or writing for that matter. But again, I think something very innate is that I've always been the storyteller in the group. Like if you and I are sitting and we're getting a cup of coffee, like, listen, Baddy, last year we went to Kashmir and there, you know, it was so freezing. We were spitting from the balcony and it would turn into snow before it landed on the floor. So I can actually create a visual in your head.
Right.
I've always been the storyteller, the class clown or whatever. So when I started getting shitty scripts and then when I had seen a bit of life, I had lived a bit of life, I had partied a little, I had a couple of relationships, I had an understanding about how, you know, these things work. And then somewhere when I could actually have a detached perspective about these things and I could look at them objectively, I felt that this can be translated into a script and a screenplay. And then there was a way of talking, there's a way how youngsters outside talk and no one really knows this. You know how, you know, for example, when we were making Krishna and his Leela, me and Ravikant, Suresh Babu Garu is our producer, and it's a night scene and there's a party going on and he comes and he asks me, so everyone in your film drinks, is it? So I was like, yeah, sir, it's a house party and this is how house parties are, where like people are just gathered and then there's small groups and then there'll be one guy who'll be playing the guitar and then there'll be one guy inside the room who'll be playing some EDM music and there'll be a few people on the terrace and there'll be some serious conversation going on and all of that stuff. This is our party. And then he'll be like, so girls also drink? And then we're like, okay. Yeah, because like he's one of the big daddies of the industry. So,
Yeah.
And we were all like, yeah, so should they not? We can take it out. And then he said, no, I'm just asking because back in the day when I used to go to parties, probably one woman would drink.
Yeah.
And today when I go to parties, probably one woman doesn't drink. So I'm saying we made a very, very new school film with one of the most old school producers, right? And that is the difference that made the film work, that, you know, such an old banner delivered a fresh film. So it was all about recreating what was happening outside in reality, you know, and put it on screen and it becomes very fresh for you automatically.
Yeah. So the writing was actually a means to give Siddhu a platform.
Correct.
That's why you...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I became a writer because I wanted to be an actor.
Right.
So for the job that I wanted to do, I had to do a lot of other jobs.
Right.
Is how I like
Now,
to put it.
there's one strange blip in your resume, this Tamil film called Valinam.
Yeah.
It's the only Tamil film you've done.
Yeah,
And-
I did one more which got shelved midway.
Right, but what is that? Were you like, this is not working, let me try there?
No, not really. So basically, I had done a film called LBW, and then Ariwala Gansar director Valinam had come to Hyderabad for a location scout, and then he saw the posters, and the production manager of my film was the guy who was showing him the locations in Hyderabad.
Okay.
And then he asked him, who's this guy on this poster? He said, oh, I did that film. So he said, call that guy. I went there and he auditioned me, and then he said, I want you to play a role. I said, I don't speak Tamil. So he said, doesn't matter, we'll figure it out. It's more about the performance. So that it happened like that. It was never planned.
What is it like acting in a language that you don't know?
It was tough. It was really tough. And then probably today, why I sympathize with a lot of girls who come from other industries and who go to other languages and do cinema. I sympathize with them because it's very easy when the director goes or the filmmaker goes and tells the girl, you can say it like that, say it like that, say it like this. Okay. But beyond all of this, there is one more problem that you don't have and they have. That they don't know the language, because knowing language is half done, half job done, right? So it was tough at the same time, but again it added an experience, I guess.
Right. Is Siddhu part of Siddhu's plan, like going pan India?
I don't know. I do know that I want to keep making crazier content, and I want to keep making films that do not fall into the regular genre or follow any meter, but at the same time deliver what is expected out of it. So I don't really have a plan regarding that.
So if I go to a film that either has Siddhu or is directed, is written or whatever, something has to do with you, then I know that it's going to be something off.
No, you never know. You might be actually going and watching a disaster also.
No, meaning like it. But the
At least the
attempt
intent
would be
the
intent would be something
The
off the beaten track.
If my intent and my content actually sit together, it will probably be a good film. But yeah, there will definitely be a concept or a theme that I'm trying to say. There will definitely be a point that I'm trying to make with my film.
Right.
It just won't be a slapstick comedy or just a bunch of random thrills. If I decide to make a thriller tomorrow, it won't be that. There will always be a point that I'll be trying to make. But most importantly, when you see me in a film, more often than not, you will find me playing a character which has a flaw.
Right.
I think that is what I always look for, because there was this, and this started when I, back in the day, there was this podcast that I was listening to, and Amir Khan sir was doing the podcast, and then he was explaining how he asks his every filmmaker what the character's flaw is. What is my character's flaw? He asks every filmmaker that he makes a film with. And then they were all trying to figure out what was his flaw in Three Idiots, And eventually they understood that curiosity was Rancho's flaw. So when I say flaw, it doesn't just have to be a negative thing. It could just be a characteristic or a personality trait that...
Like a defining trait.
A defining trait that you're not able to control, and it lands you in trouble.
Yeah.
It could be curiosity, or it could be laziness for that matter. So I'm always trying to find that flaw, and I'm always trying to find means to make the character vulnerable. Because if you're vulnerable, you're likable. You feel like you're one of us if you're vulnerable. So.
But are you still going to keep writing?
Absolutely. I don't think I can stop it even if I wanted to.
Right, because the thing is, now you're probably going to get scripts that other people are going to write for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you still want to keep...
Yeah, I do.
Because you started out because you were not getting good scripts.
Yeah. And now I'm doing a couple of really good films. Like Jack is a very good film. It's an action comedy, and I love the idea.
Right.
It's again got a very interesting character for me to play. And then Tillu Square is a love story, and I think Tillu Square somewhere will fulfill what Krishna and his Leela couldn't for me.
Right.
Also a very interesting character with a simple flaw in him. Having said that, I think I'd like to be a part of others' vision. I'd like to constantly surrender to someone else's vision and at the same time lead, a film completely by myself as well.
But given that there's a writer ticking away, like you're not even able to see me without registering some of what I'm doing.
Correct.
Does that surrender happen easily?
No, it doesn't happen easily. I just have to really turn myself off. I really have to go and be like, dude, you are not supposed to barge into that guy's space as much as you don't want anyone else to barge into yours. Okay? And then when you make a film with Bomarilu Vaskar, there's no way you're telling that dude how to make his film, okay? Because he himself has a good filmography and he's delivered some of the blockbusters. So I do understand that it's his film first and then I'm just a part of it as an actor. But if there is an improvisation, if there is an input, if there's an idea, I'll definitely discuss it.
But just to take the example of Bommaril Bhaskar, I mean, and no offense to him at all, but the thing is, somebody could have made a hit maybe 10, 15 years ago. And maybe you're feeling a little disconnect, a bit of a disconnect, because today you may see Bommaril on TV and it may work for you, but then you may not. You don't know whether it's going to work on TV. Again, I'm just using Bommaril as an example.
I completely understand what you're saying.
So how do you turn off that part that says...
Is he relevant enough today?
Yeah.
He was 10 years ago, or is he relevant enough
Not
today?
he is relevant, whether the writing is...
the writing is relevant, right. The subject that we are picking.
Yeah.
See, I think that you will know as soon as you listen to what he has to tell you. Right. The minute he narrated Jack to me, I said, I want to do this film because I love the character. And I love what he's trying to say with the film. And then I love how he's made it again a film that an entire family can watch, but again it's a bigger film. The stakes are higher, there's an action aspect to the entire film. So I think it's the content that tells you if it's relevant or not.
No, when we talked about, here, how it's very important here to make a hit film, right? Sometime back.
Yes, sir.
Is it important to, therefore, when you just say family film, to kind of make a 4-quadrant film, as they say, like in the US, which is like appeal to every single audience? Is that important?
See, again, this is creativity versus conformity, where the budget that you've put into a film, what does it need to break even, for starters? If you're putting in a lot of money, then you make sure that every single... So Suresh Babu Garu once said this to me: the entire theatre is a pie. How much of it do you want to eat? It's a cake. How much of the cake do you want to eat? So now if you put in a bizarre amount of money into your film, now you just have to make sure that right from a 6-year-old to a 60-year-old, you want all of them in the
So it all depends on the...
It all depends on the number you've invested. It all depends on the kind of film it is also. You can make a full family entertainer in 10 crores also. But again, having said that, I think the target demographics should somewhere be set in your head before you start making a film. Everything else that happens is a bonus.
So tell me one thing, when, obviously as a person starts being successful, an actor, actress, director, whatever, it starts being successful, the money that they command, the salary that they command also goes up, right? Now, in Telugu cinema, how does it work? Like, because here it seems that the equation, because some people seem to take a bit of from the back end. Some people, how does it work here? Is it like a...
See, there's all sorts
because one of the things, the reason I asked this is because one of the like a lot of producers in Tamil cinema have told me that the money goes up front, because so that's a big chunk of interest that piles up on the movie. So how does it work here?
See, again, it completely depends. It's a predetermined deal between two people, the producer and the actor, where you decide what you want to do. You want to take a little upfront and then you want to take a share, because if you all think that it's a short film and you all think that it's going to rake crazy numbers, then the actor is obviously going to be like, listen, I'll take a little now, I'll take, for the same amount, there'll be an equity, I'll take a share later. Right? So, I think it's also a very healthy system if that starts happening, because everyone starts sharing the loss and profit at the same time. Right? Because there is obviously a basic business that will happen, but eventually it's about the final guy in the line also making money. It's like not just the producer or the actor, the distributor, the exhibitor should also make money. So as long as we are trying to keep that healthy ecosystem running, where everyone is happy and everyone is healthy, I think it's a great system to have.
Would you say then that Jack is probably a little bit of a test for you? Because
it is.
You became this overnight sensation with DJ Tillu.
That night lasted 11 years long.
And that night lasted 11 years long. And the film that followed it and became a bigger blockbuster was DJ Tillu 2. So because Krishna and his Leela is one of those things that is a big black hole. Nobody knows
about it.
Whether people, nobody knows.
Just break my heart when you say that, because it's
so
a
sorry,
film that is so close to my heart.
I'm sorry, but you know what I mean,
It's like my guilty pleasure. Like, obviously you don't want to be caught watching your own film, so I just watch it at times when no one is at home.
But you know what I mean, right?
I know.
So we know that people associate you with this for sure.
Absolutely.
They may also associate with Krishna Lila, but we're never going to know that. Right?
Yeah.
So Jack is going to be the because it's a theatrical release. That's going to be the first time you're being tested outside the Tillu-ness
Correct.
of your screen persona.
Correct.
So is that weighing on you a bit?
See, as much as it's a thought on my head, in my subconscious, see, what I'd like to say is that there is always a different kind of challenge on your next film, buddy.
Right.
You know, for example, when Krishna's Leela happened, one of an established producer and writer said, "See, you're a hit on OTT. You have to see if you're a hit in a theater.
Yeah.
See, this is different and that is different. That is me." When DJ Tillu 2 released, they said, "Now what is your next film? Because this one worked in a theater. If your next bombs, you'll be called a one-film wonder or a fluke." And when the next was announced, which was sequel, impossible. How can you make a sequel work? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There is always a way that life will find to tell you how the next step is the most important step.
Right.
Or it is a test.
Yeah.
I believe everything is a test. I believe every film that you make is a test. There will be something, and we humans, we love finding ourselves in a problem, and we give ourselves great credit, and we find great happiness in solving the problem.
Right.
You know?
It's like we're all 3-act structures.
Correct. We're all 3-act structures. You know, we all need a task, but I mean, what is life without drama, right?
Right.
Yeah. So as much as Jack is a test, I know the next one is going to be, I know the previous one was, I know every film that I do will be a test.
Right.
If not in the minds of people's, firstly, in my own mind, it is going to be a test for me.
Yeah. So I think I'm done asking you the things that I wanted to ask you. So it was a pleasure talking to you. Tell me one thing. When we end the interview, sometime back, I think during the release of Jaga Jasoos,
Right.
you had up on your Instagram a statement that said that Ranbir Kapoor is the only actor that
Will
can
pull me to a theatre
pull
on
me
day
to
one.
a theatre, like on day one.
Yeah.
What's it about him? Like I'm trying to kind of
Are you asking me this question after Animal released?
not necessarily.
No, I'm saying Animal, I think, just showed the world what I always saw in him.
Right.
You know, because I
But
think
he's been praised in a lot of
he's been praised, but
Yeah.
this, I mean, today I think, you know, it's unanimous after Animal. I think, I'm sure even the numbers say the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, not all of his films. And Ranbir has always been one of those people who's choosed different cinema.
Yeah.
You know, like Burfi, he'd play a mute, and then there's a rock star where he'd play a heartbroken
And then there's
guy.
these lovely weird films like Ajab Prem Ki.
Ajab Prem Ki Gajab Kahani, where he's again doing
Yeah.
Rajkumar Santhoshi sir directed that film.
Yeah.
Right, so that kind of a film. So Ranbir has always constantly chosen those kind of different films, which definitely always made him one of those great actors. But then again, he'd do a Ye Jawani Hai Diwani and all of those films. But I'm saying Animal is something that I think that unleashed him, you know, and I mean, it's a 3-hour intense drama, you know, what Sandeep made. And I think the one thing that kept me glued is his writing and Ranveer's performance. So I feel that I'm very glad that I'm a Ranbir Kapoor fan, and I'm very glad that he's my favorite actor, one of my favorite actors. So he still is the guy who can pull me to a theatre on day one.
Right. So it's more like it's not that you want to model yourself along those lines. It's not that
Come again,
so
I
much
didn't
as
get that.
It's not so much that you want to model yourself on those lines.
Absolutely not.
Okay. It's
Absolutely
not because it's like I do want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. I want to do that.
Right.
It's just
No,
like,
not really. See, in my head, if for example, if someone says that you look like another actor, or we feel that you're going to be this guy.
Yeah.
I see. My personal understanding is it's about the impact that you have.
Right.
The amount of impact. It might not be a similar impact, but when people say that, you know, they generally are trying to say that you are going to have the same amount of impact that this star had.
Right.
So it's about the energy that you come with and the experience that you provide people. Not necessarily the same way the other person did. So do I want to be as impactful as Ranbir Kapoor is? Definitely. Yeah. Do I want to do it the same way? No. And even if I tried, I don't think I could. And if I even went ahead and tried, I think I'd fail miserably, because then it wouldn't be me.
Right. It wouldn't be you. And
Yeah.
I think there's going to be probably the better goal to have is have somebody say in their Instagram page that
I can go day one on Siddhu's film. He's the guy who can.
And I hope that happens.
It happened for DJ Tillu too.
What did they say?
Oh, they said that, you know, we are all just waiting to go to the theatres, and, you know, day one, pakka, 100% will go day one.
They said that.
Oh yeah, a lot of people have been saying that.
Lovely.
I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. So it happened with DJ Tillu. The idea is to make sure it happens with every film.
I'll tell you a strange thing that happened in Chennai because I was watching another film, and so a whole bunch of us went into this 9:30 a.m. show. It was a Saturday, and it turned out that me and a couple of others were the only ones going to this other film.
Okay.
And everyone else was going to DJ Tillu
In Chennai,
Square.
this is.
In Chennai.
Interesting.
So this was like yesterday.
Yeah.
So I was like, which movies are you guys going to? Like suddenly everybody, the whole, like there was and it's an early morning show.
Right, I know. Every day I realize a little more as to what's the impact of a franchise when you make one.
Right, and one of those guys was like a crazy movie buff who caught me and said, I really want to make a film someday, or at least act in one and something like that. So anyway, that's nice. So
I found a few people wearing the blue kurta from part 1 and wearing one wig and going to watch the film also.
yeah, the wig is very
wig.
It's special, right?
It's very
like-
special.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, I just back then when I made DJ Tillu part 1, I just grew it because it was lockdown. I couldn't go to a barber. I grew it, and people started saying it looks good, and then we colored it, and then it became a thing. So I think these are all very beautiful accidents that have happened to me.
Yeah, I know, and that's what like you said about films, right? It's so uncertain. You can plan whatever you can,
Correct.
but ultimately it's its own thing.
Yeah.
And I think everybody gives it a different name, like chance, God, destiny, whatever it is
Correct.
that they want to call it. But then
Correct.
ultimately it's
Correct. It's magic.
It's magic.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So-
We're dream sellers, so
Yeah.
we just have to.
yeah, and here's to selling more dreams.
Thank you.
Thank you very
One
much.
of the very few interviews that I enjoyed doing.
Thank you.
Look forward to it
I
also.
really enjoyed chatting with you too. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Likewise, likewise.
GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
GUVI, a vernacular edutech brand, skilling everyone everywhere.